Hey everyone, welcome back to Ormsby Farm, the halfway homestead. My name is Casey. So it is week 4, I cannot believe 4 weeks, of the Every Bit Counts Challenge. And I've done a lot of fun recipes over the past 4 weeks, and I'm so excited to share this the 4th week, not necessarily the last week, with you. So let's go ahead and get into the video. I first want to say that I'm going to leave all of the recipes down below in the show notes, so you won't need to follow along on the video or anything like that. I appreciate every single one of y'all that have joined me on this journey over the past 4 weeks and leaving comments and doing all that fun stuff. But also, if you're new here and this is your first video that you've seen of me, hello, my name is Casey from Ormsby Farm, the halfway homestead. I was a city boy that moved to the country, that moved back to the city, but I'm moving back to the country. So if these type of videos interest you, whether it's preserving, baking from scratch, backyard chickens, canning, and more, I hope you go ahead and press that subscribe button, but also press the bell, because then YouTube will notify you anytime that I put new videos out on the channel, which is usually on the weekends. But also, for a day-to-day update of me, the craziness that is Casey from Ormsby Farm, the halfway homestead, follow me on social media at Instagram and Facebook and Threads, all at Ormsby Farms. And so let's go ahead and get into the intro. So here we go.
Ormsby Farms and the halfway homestead.
Alrighty, y'all. All right, so the first recipe that I'm doing, y'all know this is a very standard recipe for me. I got some beautiful tomatoes from the P&M family produce stand that we love, which is in a town near us. And I'm going to can some diced tomatoes. And what I'm doing is I'm putting some citric acid in. It's 1/4 of a teaspoon for pints. And then I'm going to just raw pack it. Now, all of the recipes will be left down below, so you don't have to worry about following me on that way. But what I'm going to do, putting the citric acid in, and then I'm just going to raw pack, meaning that I'm not cooking the tomatoes. I am just stuffing tomatoes in there until about 1 inch of headspace. And then I'm going to backfill with water. Now, one thing that I like to do when I'm doing it, I'm stuffing it in deep, but I like to put the salt in afterwards. Salt is not something that you have to put in that messes up any of the canning process stuff. It truly is for taste and just your personal preference. I like it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 1/2 teaspoon in, and then I'm going to backfill with water. You see, I'm using a chopstick to debubble to make sure that it's at that inch headspace that I want. I just prefer it this way because I'm putting it into my electric pressure canner to steam bath. So I've had better opportunity of sealing doing it this way. Just my personal preference, y'all. So I'm wiping the rim, checking for cracks, like I do with all of my other canning products. And then we're going to use, of course, my most favorite canning lids, the forjar canning lids. I have a link down below. Ormsby 10 gets you 10% off of your purchase. I'm also putting on my rings finger tight, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to put it into the water bath canner. Now, my other project is in there too. Y'all, I have a video that I do a step-by-step tutorial on how to use this Nesco electric pressure canner for both water bath canning and for electric pressure canning. I will put it up here in the top corner, whichever corner it is. If you're interested in how to use this, I'm putting it on there, and you see that's both of my projects that I did for the day. But yeah, my extra one that I did for today is the ROTEL. This is how I make my ROTEL. There's a lot of different recipes. Again, I'll leave my recipe down below, but the 3 things that I definitely always put into my homemade ROTEL is diced tomatoes, which is what I had, bell peppers, which I got this beautiful bell pepper. Well, I got multiple, from the farm stand. I absolutely love this farm stand, y'all. It is absolutely wonderful. I'm supporting a small business and a family farm at the same time. While I'm not growing it in my garden, I can still get fresh and organic. But also this onion I got from them also, it's beautiful. It's a yellow onion, and I'm going to cut and put that in there too. So tomatoes, peppers, a sweeter pepper, and an onion is what I put in my ROTEL base for what I can. For whether I use it for football dips or however I want to use the ROTEL, this is how I do it. It's kind of like a bigger, chunkier salsa, y'all. So you see it right there. That's how it looks. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm doing it in the 1/2 pints. I'm using the citric acid again. I'm doing the same amount. I'm doing a fourth of a teaspoon in each one. That just brings up the acidity to make sure it's safe for you to water bath can. I'm also putting in a little bit of salt into this to make sure it has a little bit of flavor, because that salt going to bring out the flavor for each one of the things. And I'm going to use fajita seasoning. This is what makes it my ROTEL for me. This is the fajita seasoning that I made, I think in week 1 of Every Bit Counts Challenge. And with my 4-jar funnel, I'm going to backfill, raw pack again, this mixture of the onion, the pepper, and the tomatoes. I'm going to stuff it to an inch of headspace, and then I'm going to backfill with water, y'all. It really is that simple. I know most people are like, it sounds way too good to be true. It is. It's just that simple to do it. And make sure that when you're doing it, your temperature that is in your jar is the same temperature that's going to be in your canner. So you see right here, I wanted to show you, literally, I just fill it up from the tap. That's all I do, y'all. We're debubbling again to make sure we have the right headspace. And then we're going to put it into the canner. I already showed you kind of what I did for the canner. I did all of my tomatoes for the pints at 40 minutes for water bath canning. And also here, when you don't have enough headspace, you're going to backfill with water. That's why it's so important to debubble, to make sure that there's no air pockets that could mess up your headspace. I'm still using my 4-jar canning lids. Again, Ormsby 10. If you click the link below, it's going to give you 10% off of your purchase. And they are just the best of the best. I'm pulling out some because they were just a little too high for my liking. There it is. Again, if you want to watch the video, I'll leave it up here. Go and check it out. It's a tutorial on water bath and pressure canning in the Nesco. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, again, make sure it's venting. I'm putting it on the water bath seal for 40 minutes. And I'm going to let it do its thing, y'all. And I'm going to let it sit for 24 hours. You're going to hear the ding. It's going to sound beautiful. It will seal. All right, y'all. Next kind of recipe. I'm doing like a mac and cheese kind of feel for the next couple of days. But this is a dried mac and cheese that you can vacuum seal and leave on your shelf. So I'm doing some cheddar powder. Again, the recipe will be down below. I'm going to be doing the yellow cheddar powder from Augustin Farm, but I'm also doing a cheddar powder that I got from Azure Standard, which is a white cheddar powder. I'm putting those at the bottom. I've noticed when I do meals in a jar or dried canning meals that putting the powder item down at the bottom helps it seal better, because if you vacuum seal the top of it and the powder's on the top, it can prohibit the seal and suction it up to the top. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm adding the butter in now. So I'm adding some butter powder in there. I love my butter powder. I use it for everything. Putting the same amount in both quart jars. And then I'm going to use some milk powder. I use Nido. I get it from any grocery store. You find it in the Hispanic food aisle. And I use it for everything, y'all. I use it for milk. I use it for cream. I use it for ice cream. I use it for cheese. I use it for these products. Definitely get you one. I'm giving it a little jiggle before I pour this really, I forgot I was using the ranch powder. This adds a little bit of flavoring to it, y'all. So I'm adding a little bit of a ranch powder. I think it was probably a tablespoon because I have the half tablespoon in there. But these fun semolina rice noodles I got at a boutique store. And they're really fun fall color. So I'm like, I'm going to use those. Fill it up to an inch of headspace. Make sure it's pressed down. And we're going to add in, we're going to wipe the rims. Then we're going to put our 4-jar lids on there. Even though we're not canning it, I still like to use those because it still makes it seal the best. I'm using this fun tool. It's going to vacuum seal it. I will leave it down below for my Amazon storefront. You press it, you vacuum seal, it's going to beep. You'll press the button when it beeps. And then you are completely sealed. It gives you a 10-year shelf life. It's absolutely wonderful, y'all. I absolutely love using it. Look how beautiful that is. I had some extra pasta and I wanted to use that up. All right, so this one is going to be my Rebel canning one. Y'all don't come for me. I feel comfortable doing it for my family. If you don't feel comfortable, just don't do it. That's the best way that I can say it. But I've done this many, many years, and it works great for me. So this recipe here that I'm using is from one of my dear friends, Tamara. I will leave her channel link down below. She told me about this mac and cheese, and I'm like, ooh, I have to try it. So with 1 part of the water, 2 parts of the cheese sauce, we mix it up to kind of make it a little bit more watery. I'm putting in 1/2 cup of the dried pasta, y'all. Dried pasta in the quart jars. I will leave the recipe down below that she sent me. I did a little bit different from what she told me, and one of my jars didn't seal, so that was my fault, not hers. So in the dried pasta, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder. I'm going to add a little bit of onion powder also. This is just my little seasoning that I always use for my mac and cheese. But this will be a game changer over the winter when I need to pull out a mac and cheese and just heat it back up. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm like, I'm going to use this cheese sauce up, and we're going to make some mac and cheese, and it's going to be delicious. One thing that she said is when you're scooping the cheese sauce in, make sure you stir it. You go slow. You do 1 jar at a time, and that's what I'm doing with my chopstick. Pouring a ladle of the cheese sauce in, I'm mixing it up so it doesn't clump up together. And then we're going to backfill with some more cheese sauce. Again, I will leave the detailed recipe in the show notes. You won't have to worry, y'all. Now, one thing that I did notice is that I poured a little too much cheese sauce and it siphoned out when I was canning it. So next time when I do it, I would have stopped there instead of adding that one last scoop that I did into the jars. I'm going to wipe the rim because all that cheese sauce is sticky. Y'all, I can't speak tonight. Is sticky, and you don't want it prohibiting your seals when you add on your canning lids. So I'm wiping it. Do not use vinegar, y'all, because it could make the cheese curdle. So just a wet cloth is what you want to use. I'm using my forjar canning lids. Again, I love them. This is a Rebel Bath or Rebel canning recipe, so I'm not going to tag them in this part of it just because I know that they are really good at staying true to the rules. I'm putting it in for 20 minutes in my electric pressure canner, and they look really good. That was the one that siphoned out. If y'all can see it, right there to the right. The leftover cheese, I'm just putting into a jar because I use that for ROTEL dip for football games. So I'm just filling up the jars to about 1 inch of headspace. It's liquefied with the water, so it's not as thick. I had a little bit left. I was going to use that tonight. Wipe rims, check for cracks. Same kind of deal when you do any type of canning. Putting on my 4-jar canning lids, and I'm going to put those in for the same amount of time, 20 minutes in the electric pressure canner. And then I'll have those over the winter for some fun cheese dip. It is great to have. I love having this cheese sauce. I know it's not even really cheese, but it's just really, really good. Okay, what I'm doing tonight, and I'm using my cookbooks. If you're interested in the cookbook, I've had a lot of people ask. I will leave links down below to where you can buy my cookbooks. I'm doing a cookie dough stock up. I do this probably twice a year, and I get a lot of cookie dough stocked up into the freezer so that I can cut cookies or make cookies over the winter. Again, all the recipes will be down below, but we're going to start off with a sugar cookie. I like to cream my stuff. So sugar and butter, when you cream that together, that's the best way to start your cookies. Then add in the egg and make sure it's completely mixed in before you add anything else. Now with the sugar cookie, I'm not doing brown sugar, but I am using my homemade vanilla extract. We're going to cream that in all together, and then we're going to add all the other ingredients. A lot of the ingredients I get from Azure Standard. If you've not heard about Azure Standard, I always have a link that's down below where you can go and get it. And you can use Casey Guest 3, and that will get you all set up. And you can go ahead and get some wonderful organic family farm owned products. And I just love Azure Standard. So I'm mixing it all together. Mixy. I'm mixing it with my hand. We're going to use some parchment paper. I'm going to dump the dough out, and we're going to roll it up into like a log, just like you would get a cookie dough roll in the grocery store. I twist the ties. I'm going to write on it, and then I'm going to put it in the freezer. This next one that I'm doing is going to just be my standard chocolate chip cookie recipe. Again, it is all in my holiday cookbook, The Taste of the Seasons, Volume 2. And I am going to add the egg in there. One thing that you saw is I added a little bit of molasses. If you add molasses to white sugar, that's going to make your brown sugar, so you don't have to stock up on the brown sugar. Just stock up on your cane sugar, get some molasses, and then you'll always have brown sugar on hand. So I'm adding in all the ingredients, stirring as I go, especially before I get into adding the flour. Now, I've been using this whole white wheat flour from Azure Standard for both my breads and all of my baking, and it has worked wonderfully. That right there is Yakan chocolate chips, and then my dairy-free white chocolate chips, and I added in some of our nut mixture. This is going to be a really fun chocolate chip recipe that's healthy over the winter. Well, as healthy as it can be over the winter. I'm doing it the same way. I'm putting it in parchment, rolling it up into a log, twisting the ties. I'll put it into the freezer. Next one is a new one that I'm trying that I'm really excited about is we're doing an oatmeal raisin cookie. So again, sugar, molasses, butter, cream. Cream it up, make sure it's nice and incorporated before you're going to add your egg into there. Vanilla extract I'm using first. And there's the egg. And we're going to cream all of that together before we add in the flour with the salt, the flour, and the oats. One thing that I like to add into it, it calls for cinnamon, but I'm going to add in my fall spice. I did that in week 1 of my fall spice stock up. It's what I use, I said, for a lot of my cookies, and it tasted so good. It's just cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. And now I'm adding in my oats. This is dried rolled oats that I get in bulk from Azure Standard. And I didn't have raisins, but I had these craisins in my dried fruit from my granola. So I was like, I'm going to use that and stock it up. And it was actually really good because I had a cookie that night. I'm mixing it all up. I'm making sure it's combined using my spoon, then getting in there with my hands. Then I'm going to roll it out into a log like I do with all the other ones. And we're going to freeze it overnight. Now let me show you how I put it into the freezer. I put it into the freezer just like that, and then the next day it comes out so beautiful. You can put it into a bag from there and store it for the winter. All right, here is my next medicinal. Y'all know I've been doing medicinals every single week. I'm going to shred some turmeric root. I'm going to shred some ginger root. And I decided to wear gloves this time so my hands are not yellow like they were before. And I'm going to shave and shred some garlic. We are going to make some medicinal honey. I saw a video on this, and it's really good as cough syrup. So you got your shredded turmeric, shredded ginger, and then you have your shredded garlic, which should be next. That's the ginger still. I was doing a lot of it. And it is really good to have over the winter to just coat your throat when you get the yuckies, which I've been getting lately, y'all. I've been getting that very lately because I work in the school system and all the kids are just getting sick right now. And they're getting Mr. Casey sick as well. So I'm going to cut off and shred this garlic as you see in there. And all we're going to do is add that shredded stuff to honey. Now, in the recipe, you can use this and you can blend it up to a puree before you add it to the honey, or you could be a big baller like I am and just add the shredded pieces straight into the honey. Either way is going to work just the same. All the different stuff I will leave down below on the benefits of having the turmeric, the ginger, and the garlic in your honey and what it does. It's the same exact stuff when I did the fire cider. I'm talking about the importance of the immune boosting, of your eye health, of your cholesterol health. All of that stuff, these things will help, along with making sure when you're getting the crud or the coughs or the sniffles that it works. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this and I'm putting it into a 1/2 pint jar, and I'm going to put honey over it. Now, this honey that I got it from my most favorite farm stand, P&M Family Farm. They have some raw honey. That's a good thing. You want to get honey that's local to you because all of the benefits that will help allergies comes in local honey to you, not necessarily honey from somebody else. I'm mixing it good, and I'm going to let it sit for 3 days before you can use it. All right, next thing that I'm doing is I'm doing another stock up of my eggnog. Y'all know I love my eggnog over the holidays. What I'm doing is I'm separating out the yolk from the whites. I'm doing a double batch today. Now, I also did a full in-depth tutorial on making eggnog from shelf-stable stuff, so I will leave that up above. So there's all my stuff separated. I keep the shells because I use it for my garden. I'm creaming the eggs and my cane sugar together. I forgot to record it. And now I'm going to add the milk and I'm going to add the heavy cream. I use the Nido powder again. I told y'all that I use it for everything. I will leave information down below to that video where I explain how I make heavy cream from the milk powder and how I make milk from the milk powder. I make sure that my jars are washed and cleaned, and then I'm going to put all of that kind of stuff in there, and I'm going to give it a good shaky, and we are going to then have the heavy cream and the milk. When I tell you that my family, I am known as the eggnog king because I do make some wonderful eggnog. I do this a lot to cut back on my time of cooking it because it takes a minute to make this eggnog. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the vanilla into there, and we're going to bring that milk mixture to a boil. Add your seasonings, add your vanilla extract, stir it around, make sure it's incorporated, and then we're going to bring it up to a boil. Now, in the next couple of videos, you'll see I got a third hand. That was just mom helping because you want to make sure you're mixing constantly when you're pouring the hot milk in there so you don't scramble your eggs as you're doing it. I like to pour it back into a bowl. And one thing that I do is I put it into a quart jar to cool. I know it's like a lot of dishes, but trust me, it helps, it works. And as I let it cool, then I'm going to get out my out-of-air vacuum seal bags. I love these bags. They're so good. And they have a zipper and everything. And I'm going to put my quartz in there. I'm going to pour it in there because we're going to vacuum seal it to freeze. Now, my Inkbird vacuum sealer has a liquid function. Well, it has dry, moist, and liquid. Make sure that you get the right one on there. I'm going to vacuum seal air out, and then I'm going to seal it. This saves the quality of the product that's in the bag. You seal it, seals wonderfully. I'm going to then lay it down and freeze it, and then I have it for the winter. It was so good. Okay, this is my last one. It was the last day. This was the Friday. And I'm stocking up on my quiches in the freezer. Now, I have my quiche crust recipe. I will leave it down below. If y'all want to see me do it in a real video, full-length tutorial, leave me a comment down below. It's a great semolina and whole wheat flour mixture. I'm going to brown up some sausage like I did here. And I put the sausage straight into the quiche crust before I pour the egg mixture. It just is how I separate it and make it even throughout the quiche. Now, what I do is I mix up my eggs and I will do my seasoning, which is my salt, garlic powder, onion powder, and pepper. Y'all, I'm real basic with it, but it always tastes so freaking good every single time I do it. I put maybe about 8 eggs into my quiche when I do it, depending on the size. Today I used 8 eggs, and then we're just going to whisk all of that stuff together. We're going to whisk the eggs and all the seasoning together before we pour it over it. Yep, there's my onion powder. I'm measuring with my heart. And my garlic powder, measuring with my heart. And we just gonna, there's the pepper and the salt, of course. So we just gonna measure with our heart all together and stir it and then pour it over the sausage in the quiche. I'm shredding some Gouda that I got from the farm stand on top of it. It is going to be wonderful and delicious. I even it out and I put the cast iron into an oven, 375 for about 45 minutes. Y'all, I put it straight in there like that. When I tell you it pops out of the cast iron so easy, see, beautiful, thick, delicious, love it. I'm going to cut it up into the 8 pieces before I let it cool. Because I'm going to let it cool, I'm going to put it in the freezer and then enjoy. Alrighty, y'all, thank you again. It's longer video, so if you stuck with me all the way to the end, I really do appreciate it. Again, all of the recipes will be down below in the show notes. I will see y'all next week for the very last video of Every Bit Counts Challenge 2025. We're going to do the last 2 days of August. But we're also going to talk about all that I've canned, what I plan on using them for, and you're going to see it kind of as like a whole. I'm going to show you as like a big whole of all the stuff that I've canned. So until next video, if you haven't already, go ahead and press that subscribe button. Y'all know the deal. And press that bell because YouTube will notify you anytime that I put out new videos on the channel. But you can also follow the craziness, the journey, the dishevelment sometimes that is Ormsby Farm and the Halfway Homestead on social media. And you can follow me at Facebook and Instagram and Threads, all at Ormsby Farms. And I will see y'all on the next video. Bye, y'all. Be blessed.